Oh my God, how do you know about this?
Web.
How do you guys know about this? Wait, oh my God, I didn't want to say anything because it's so embarrassing. Dude, I saw the fucking appeal on the court docket or whatever. I actually read it because it's like, I think it's 47 pages long. It's full of typos. Bro, come on, man. Dude, they couldn't even write her name properly, dude. There's typos in the fucking name. Like, brother, put your fucking text to fucking chat GPT and just check for normal mistakes or any inconsistencies so you could at least put the fucking name properly, dude. Oh, man. That's just embarrassing.
The XQC Adept RP divorce is on the brink of lasting 2 years. November 2022, she filed for the RP divorce, putting a gag order on XQC, taking his cars. Fast forward to 2024 and she lost in real court, and now she's appealing the L, which in turn forces XQC to respond, paying more legal fees to defend this fake marriage. But before we get into his 37-page appeal, let's address Adept's bankruptcy story. I think Adept filing for bankruptcy started with XQCow's tweet post on September 10th stating that she filed for bankruptcy. This would later get picked up by the Tribune on September 11th, basically mirroring the same thing, citing that she did it because of the legal battles. Even Asmongold will react to it.
She tried to take this guy for literally tens of millions of dollars by saying that they were married. This is what you fucking deserve.
But I hate to break it to you guys, she reported in her original appeal that no one has filed for bankruptcy yet. Furthermore, all bankruptcy cases are held in federal courts under the rules outlined in the US Bankruptcy Code, which means if she did file for the bankruptcy, I would have found it, there would have been a record of it. I did check, nothing came back. It does not make sense for her to file for bankruptcy right now. She's likely going to file bankruptcy after she loses the appeal and is ordered to not only pay XQC's legal fees, but give him some money for selling the McLaren and give him his BMW back. Filing for bankruptcy right now would be premature. But let's get into XQC's 37-page appeal. His appeal was filed on September 13th, honoring their Rule 11 agreement, filed by none other than GigaChad lawyer Adam J. Morris. Now, it goes on to show that, Ian Pittman lost and she hired some super lawyers who pretty much just sucking her dry, fighting this frivolous case that she literally has no chance of winning. And obviously, his lawyer disagrees about the court abusing its discretion in granting the XQC the victory in the RP divorce. He disagrees that the court abused its discretion in not allowing certain evidence to be a part of the case that she presented as evidence. Furthermore, this whole objection to Exhibit 4, he disagrees with, considering that they withdrew the motion. Now, when it comes to these statements of facts, okay, Samantha filed petition for divorce, but later admits that she does not know the date of marriage. We know XQC never agreed to be married. Also, the fact that, her witnesses, which consisted basically of her mom and her housekeeper, that both testified that, hey, we didn't know he was married. She provided no proof that they were married because she literally had none. It's going to come up to be like this random receipt. The final one, the nail in the coffin, is she did not hold herself out as married, and she opted to keep the purported marriage a secret. Now, you would think case would be closed just off these facts alone, but we're in America. We can keep going through the summary of arguments, but we're gonna let this play out further down. It's only 37 pages. We're not gonna go through any of this applicable case law, but there are two cases that come up that closely mirror what the hell is going on between XQC and Adept. So let's get into the statements of cause. Now, they go into the whole summary of, hey, she filed the RP divorce back in November. She tried to amend it with this unwritten contract that, XQC, said he was going to provide for her for the rest of her life. Some goofy stuff like this. It was sealed, but I couldn't see it. Fast forward, XQC, he did win on the motion of no evidence, citing that, hey, there was no agreement to get married, and XQC definitely didn't hold himself out as being married. So we have that there. This is all stuff that we know. We already went over his lawyer's disagreements, but let's get to the statements of facts. Let's break these down a little further so you guys can have a better understanding of what the hell is going on in this divorce if you haven't been following it since the beginning of freaking January 2023 when I started covering it. God damn, it's been a while. But anyway.
Samantha filed petition for divorce, but later admits she does not know the date of marriage. Samantha Lopez, appellant, and Felix Lengyel, appellee, were in a dating relationship beginning in 2020 and continuing through part of 2022. On November 14th, 2022, Samantha filed her original petition for divorce, claiming that she and Felix were married on or about August 25th, 2020, and ceased to live together as spouses on or about October 31st, 2022. Samantha later professes not to know the specific date that she and Felix got married. Samantha acknowledges that she and Felix never celebrated a wedding anniversary. Samantha purports not to know whether or not she has ever filed her taxes as married. B. Felix consistently denies agreeing to be married and holding himself out as married.
How can you divorce someone who said they were not married?
On January 10, 2023, Felix filed his respondent's original answer in which he entered a verified denial stating there is no existing marriage between the parties. Felix has affirmatively denied ever agreeing to marry Samantha. Felix has affirmatively denied ever telling anyone that he and Samantha were married. It is undisputed that Felix has never had or worn a wedding ring. It is also undisputed that, at the time she filed for divorce, Samantha did not have or wear a wedding ring. Samantha acknowledged writing Felix in March 2022 that among the things that she wanted was marriage one day. She acknowledged writing to Felix in May 2022 that she did not see herself as married until we are actually married. This was after she had agreed with Felix's statement that we are not married and don't conduct ourselves as married to others and ourselves. Yes?
But here he is, paying a lawyer to argue that she was married. She's out here literally saying, hey, can you prove that was marriage? And, lawyers would just take your money and be like, sure, no problem.
See, Samantha and Samantha's witnesses confirm Felix did not hold himself out as married to Samantha. The only testimony from any third party that Samantha offered regarding her purported marriage to Felix is the testimony of a housekeeper and Samantha's mother. Samantha concedes, however, in her brief that the housekeeper never personally heard XQC refer to Samantha as his wife. Appellant's brief page 7th, Samantha's mother testified that Felix never told her that he and Samantha were married. D. Samantha provides no documentary evidence to support informal marriage. Samantha could not recall any paperwork other than possibly in regards to entering Canada in August 2020, from the period from August 2020 to August 2022, where she represented that she and Felix were legally married. The only purported documentary evidence Samantha provides of either of the parties holding themselves out as husband and wife is a random receipt. There is nothing in that document that makes any reference to a marriage between either of the parties. The date on the receipt is May 19th, 2020, which is 3 months prior to the date Samantha claims as the party's date of marriage. E. Samantha admits she did not hold herself out as married and opted to keep the purported marriage a secret.
And according to Texas law, if you're married and you want to try to pull off this common law marriage robbery sham, you can't keep it a secret. Everyone and their mama has to know that you were married.
Samantha had previously stated under oath that prior to the filing for divorce, she opted to keep her purported marriage a secret. In her affidavit dated November 15th, 2022, Samantha alleges that despite her claim that she and Felix were married in August 2020, they agreed not to disclose their status on their respective platforms to their fans. Samantha claims that she did not tell more people that she and Felix were married because it wasn't safe to talk to their business associates about it, and most of her friends or acquaintances were also business associates. She stated that it was important that the people she and Felix dealt with on business matters not be told that they were married. Samantha acknowledged that she only told a very small number of people that they were married. She initially testified that she could only identify 8 people whom she told she was married. These people consisted of 5 family members, 2 housekeepers, and Malena Polom. Samantha further acknowledged that she kept the existence of the purported marriage secret from people other than those 8 people. Samantha acknowledged that she could not point to any example where she publicly referred to herself as Felix's common law wife or spouse. In contrast, Samantha acknowledged publicly referring to Felix as her boyfriend in September 2021 and in May 2022. Over a year after she claimed she and Felix were married, Samantha acknowledged referring to Felix as the best boyfriend ever in March 2022.
Now, this is where he catches her in a big lie. Samantha alleges that in May 2023, months after the RP divorce case began, Felix bought her a wedding ring, stating in her brief that they told the sales associate that they were married, or it was a wedding ring. And that's in her brief, so we're gonna look at that. However, this is not accurate, okay? Sammy testified that XQC did not tell the sales associate that it was a wedding ring, nor did he tell the sales associate that he and Samantha were married. There, case closed. Everyone go home, right? I wish that was it. And look, just so we can show that we're not lying, here is her original filing where she says, hey, Samantha gave XQC several wedding anniversary cards, which, where were they at in court? Neither XQC or Sammy wore wedding rings, which we know is true. However, he bought her a wedding ring in May 2023. They told the sales associate that they were married or that it was a wedding ring. This is her. Did you see the CR 204? That's her sworn testimony.
This is my wedding ring.
Felix bought Samantha a wedding ring when they were attempting to reconcile. Now, this is a fancy fairy tale story. I swear she should probably be a fictional author as she cooks this up, or maybe it's her attorneys. She was adamant that she would not attempt to reconcile without a ring. So basically she was like, I need that ring so I can say, hey, we got a ring. As you see, XQC's lawyer was quickly on the case. Now let's let the Giga Chad lawyer summarize how he was cooking her.
Summary of the argument. Appellant has presented 3 issues to this court, all relating to the granting of respondents' no evidence motion for summary judgment as to the existence of an informal marriage between Samantha Lopez and Felix Lengyel. The trial court judgment should be affirmed and the arguments raised by Samantha should be rejected because Samantha has offered no more than a scintilla of evidence to establish that there was an agreement between Samantha Lopez and Felix Lengyel to be married, nor that Samantha Lopez and Felix Lengyel held themselves out to others as husband and wife in the state of Texas. Almost all the evidence Samantha has offered in support of her claim that she and Felix were informally married is her own unsupported, uncorroborated testimony. There is 0 documentary evidence to support Samantha's claim. The only third-party testimony she offers is from her mother and a housekeeper, each of whom say that Felix never told them he and Samantha were married. Samantha offers no evidence that she and Felix were viewed by the general public or the community at large as being married. To the contrary, she states that the purported marriage was kept a secret and the information was only shared with a handful of people. This inherently negates her claim as to the existence of an informal marriage. As to the 2 issues raised by Samantha on appeal in regards to the objections to summary judgment evidence, Samantha only specifically identifies an exhibit she claims was improperly excluded in her 3rd issue. However, that exhibit was admitted, which Samantha acknowledges in her brief. To the extent that her 2nd issue pertains to exhibits that she makes reference to in her brief, those exhibits were properly excluded as hearsay because they were unsworn, unsigned witness statements.
Now he ends calling out these unsworn, unsigned witness statements. Now you got to be desperate as hell trying to put in the evidence, basically, which I surmise is the recordings of her saying, did XQC call me his wife? And someone on the other line like, yeah.
Okay, ready?
First twice, I think he did.
Okay.
Or I said, I refer, oh, okay, is your wife here?
Exactly.
She's in the room or she's upstairs.
He did call you his wife. Get that shit out of here. All right. Now, we're going to fast forward to the case that strongly resembles XQC and Adept. This is Smith v. Devine, where basically you had these 2 people, the proponent of the informal marriage stated in the summary judgment affidavit, after Mary accepted my ring, we began to introduce each other as husband and wife and testified when we have been out together. We have been introduced by others as husband and wife, and neither Mary or I would tell them that we were not husband and wife. The proponent also relied on a certain contracts in which he and the appellee were listed as husband and wife. However, this is where it gets good. So just because they didn't correct them and they had a ring and they even introduced themselves once, the Texas court ruled that the evidence was not sufficient, and the court held that there was no informal marriage because the element of holding out requires more than occasional references to each other as husband and wife. This mirrors Adept in XQC because she's saying that, hey, when people would say that that's my wife, he wouldn't correct her. So now you have this case right here that's lined up perfectly that says, hey, the same thing happened right here, and it was deemed not enough to satisfy the marriage. Part 3, where XQC's lawyer further calls her out on her lack of evidence. He kind of summarizes some of the points that he's previously made. However, he does offer 2 new pieces of information that has not been seen in any other court doc until now. So he starts off calling her out basically about this whole interns into Canada, basically saying, hey, she said you couldn't enter in Canada without being married. However, there's no legal authority that is the actual reason why people couldn't enter Canada. So she's basically saying, take my word for it. Further down the line, he catches her in another lie. Now, this lie is, at this point, do we even need to continue? Okay. So right here, also in her brief, she incorrectly claims that Samantha recalled XQC telling members of her family, her sister's boyfriend, her friend Melina, and a lawyer she met with, and the housekeepers that they were married. When asked what Felix specifically said at the gathering of the family, including her sister's boyfriend, she believed constituted him telling that he and Samantha were married. Samantha said, I just remember him being part of the conversation. I don't specifically remember what he said. This is where you just ring the bell on this whole goddamn appeal. Moreover, she testified that she consulted with a lawyer and told him she and XQC were married. She did not allege that Felix told the lawyer. Now let's go to her page where she basically says something completely different. Samantha represented that she was married to her family, 2 housekeepers, Felix's mother and a friend. She observed, this is her appeal right here. She observed Felix represented to his mother, their housekeepers, that they were married. They had discussions about being married in front of Felix's mother. Later, Samantha recalled Felix telling members of her family, her sister boyfriend, and her friend Melina, and a lawyer she met with, that they were married. You see, this is completely different from her recollection of it, because she told the lawyer told her not to tell XQC.
Gotcha, bitch.
There you have it. More so pretty much of the same thing that we already know. She kept it a secret. You know, his lawyer was completely balling out of control at this point. And he ends it with something even more telling, right? So here we go right here, right? Samantha has not identified, and counsel is not aware, which he is not aware of, any case in the state of Texas where a court of appeals upheld or found the existence of an informal marriage when there was as little evidence to substantiate such a claim that Sammy presents in her response. Which means, guys, if she were to win, like which she won't, this would break history. This would void out all the other RP marriages, divorces that preceded this, all the cases that everyone has referenced up until now. She would take the cake, and that is not going to happen. And he ends it with, conversely, there are multiple cases, similarly, where even people have more evidence offered, more evidence than what she has. And yet the Court of Appeals found that the evidence was insufficient for there to be finding of a valid informal marriage. Giga Chad lawyer also references this Smith and Devine and says that, even if you look at her case in the most favorable of lights, XQC, if ever, held himself out as her husband. So basically, like, if you just take everything she presented and say, okay, well, let's squint our eyes and remove our brains and just say, yeah, I think they may have been married. She affirmatively acknowledged that she kept that information from most people and shared it only with a handful of folks. She has no evidence. He's just reiterating the same thing, but he got to use case law to tie it all in and show that, look, man, she has no shot. Why are we here? Even with all the hearsay and I told my friends and everything, the Court of Appeals said, hey, even if that's true, even if everything you said was true, Adept, it's still not enough because a secret marriage cannot be an informal marriage. Basically shooting her down. And like in this new case, Small, Samantha presented evidence that she held out to some family members, friends, and acquaintances that she and XQC were married, though that evidence is almost exclusively through her own testimony and not from a third-party witness. Like in Small, there is no evidence showing that Sammy and XQC had a reputation in the broader community as a married couple, which we know they did not. To the contrary, as noted above, Sammy testified about the pains that were taken not to do that. And like in Small, the overwhelming weight of the parties and others' conduct and actions is contrary to Sammy's claim of an informal marriage. Now, he goes on to reiterate that, the court did not abuse its discretion in objecting to the evidence offered by her And this is where it really, this is where he gets her on this nice technicality. Nowhere in this section, nor the rest of her brief, does appellate actually specify whether some or all of the exhibits are the ones that she claims were erroneously excluded. And it's not XQC's lawyer or his responsibility to try to divine what evidence appellant is complaining, because that's what she really is complaining, was improperly excluded when she does not specifically identify that evidence, since she has failed to identify which specificity the evidence she believes was wrongly excluded. He's making the case that she has waived on this issue. So this GigaChat is just cooking. He's just all out cooking. In addition, Sammy does not offer any sort of legal basis or justification. Her claim that these non-specific, unidentified exhibits or evidence were wrongly excluded. You have to say okay, they were wrongly excluded. Here's the case law. Why? Appellate does not cite any rules of evidence that would support her claim that these non-specific, unidentified exhibits or evidence were wrongly excluded. She does not provide any argument of any kind to why these non-specific, unidentified exhibits or evidence were wrongly excluded, because appellant has failed to raise any sort of legal argument or basis for her claim that the evidence was wrongly excluded. Usually she has some case law to say, hey, look, these statements were valid statements and they should be entered in the law. Moreover, to obtain a reversal based on the erroneous admission or exclude of evidence, the appellant must establish that error probably caused a rendition of an improper judgment, which we know, right? If you bring in 3 more people to say, yes, we called him your wife, and no, he didn't correct us, it's still going to be the same result. And she failed to identify in any form or fashion how the exclusion of such evidence would impact the trial court's rendition in any way. Thus, the appellant cannot prevail on this issue. Basically, she's cooked. You have to recite case law. Now, here's the saving grace. I know you guys, this is about to piss you all off. She can amend it, okay? She can amend her notice of appeal, correcting a defect or omission in an earlier filed notice may be filed in the appellate court at any time, basically. So she can go back and address GigaChat lawyer's issues that he's pointing out, which is going to further delay a decision. But, it's her right and she's definitely going to do it now. But I don't know what case law she's going to pull out of thin air to say, hey, please enter these unsworn and unsigned witness statements that, these recorded phone calls that I did against people who probably did not know I was recording them. And he goes on to bring up the exhibits 6, 7, and 8 as these quote unquote witness statements, which were unsworn and unsigned. Now, to swear in a statement, you need to say, hey, here is my ID. I am Henry. I am making this statement. I'm signing this statement. It's going to get notarized. Someone is going to verify that, hey, you made this statement, because all we know is a voice on a phone and a name attached to it, because probably couldn't track these people down, or maybe they just didn't want to be a part of the RP divorce. Okay. I mean, and he brings up the case law saying, unsworn witness statements is not proper summary judgment evidence. So, there is that. And it's not, these statements are also not competent summary judgment evidence. Again, we bought 2 different case laws. An unsigned statement is not proper summary judgment. These unsigned document purporting to be an affidavit does not qualify as an affidavit, and it does not constitute competent evidence in determining a summary judgment issue. So all these 6, 7, and 8, these which were housekeepers, let's be honest, the judge was right into rejecting that as evidence. The trial court did not abuse its discretion regarding objection to Exhibit 4, which was the Discord message,
Flashback.
Me too.
Common law partner related term, common law spouse. A person who has been living with another person in a conjugal relationship for at least 1 year. The term refers to opposite sex and same-sex relationships. See the legal definition of common law partner. Wait, I am considered an immediate family member to you according to Canada.gov. So that means I can come to you.
Yes, they call it conjoint. It's how most couples identify themselves as.
End of flashback.
Appellee's objection to Exhibit 4 was not granted because that objection was withdrawn by XQC. So since the purported error that the appellant has raised in her 3rd issue did not accurately occur, this issue is moot. So basically he's like, look, I don't have to even defend it because, hey, it got in there. The objection to Exhibit 4 got in there, which was the Discord message. Now, in the conclusion, you know, he's saying, hey, look, everything happened as it way it was supposed to. The court did not err. The court did not err in denying anything. And he's hoping that, hey, rule in my man XQC's favor. Let's put this RP divorce to rest for forever. Now, the final straw, guys, this case is done. Even if she replies, I don't think she's going to have any case law to stand on. Second, what judge is going to overturn this? Because like he said, if she is deemed to be married or a retrial or anything like this, it will literally eliminate all the RP divorces that preceded this. And this would be the new standard, which I'm telling you it's not. However, the standard that's going to be established is this. XQC versus Adept will be solidified and appeals history for the state of Texas and can be referenced even beyond XQC and beyond anyone. They'll be referencing this when some new streamer falls for the common law marriage trap. But what do you think about XQC's lawyer, his appeal, this whole process, guys? Let me know in the comments section, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.